Hello everyone, I am overjoyed to once again be able to say, welcome back to the Talos Principle 2. That's right, they've come out with DLC, and today we will be playing Orpheus Ascending. We'll be going through all of these. I am super excited to see the crazy puzzles they have come up with for us, and also the new questions of philosophy that we'll be exploring. And as usual, I am releasing these videos early on Patreon, so if you want to follow along with me as I play this game, you can support me there. So here we go! If a thing loves, it is infinite. William Blake. I like the new rendition of the music. Still exploring the megastructure, I guess. Now many others have come.
All right, I think that's it. The new body's ready for the transfer. How's the reassembly algorithm?
Done.
Well then, somebody just needs to go in there and disentangle the data. Ah, and here comes our expert.
Thank you for agreeing to this one, Kay. Perhaps together we can right an old wrong. When I was lost in my own grief, I spent a lot of time thinking about Hypatia and Sarabai. How they found each other, how they lost each other, and how beautiful it would be if we could reunite them. For the longest time, it was only a daydream, but not anymore. In the myth of Orpheus, the ancient bard descends into the underworld to bring back his beloved wife, who died in a tragic accident. With the power of his music, he convinces Hades and Persephone to free her. But
spoilers for Hades.
That she must walk behind him, and he must not look back at her until they have left the underworld. And so, of course, in every version of the myth, he looks back. Because he doesn't trust the gods, or because he is an imperfect man, or because he simply forgets. And death is triumphant once again. We've accepted that triumph for a long time, because we had to, because what else could we do? But the world changes, and we are not the frightened, powerless creatures we once were. Perhaps it's time to say enough, and let Orpheus complete his ascent.
Does that mean Sarabai and Hypatia are also in the megastructure? Or do we just now have the ability to resurrect the dead? Of course, this is a no spoilers run. I'll be playing the whole thing blind, and I appreciate if you hold off on your lore explanations.
You will have to collect all of Sarabai's data fragments so that we can reconstruct her personality. I'll monitor you from here, just like last time.
Good luck, kiddo.
And any new mechanics, anything that I seem to be struggling with understanding, just hold off on it. I have played ahead, so chances are I've thought about it a little more, but you know, just in case, let me do my best to figure it out on my own. And then when we get to a point near the end, then we can comment on it and talk about it. What's the jump button? There it is. And here's the run button. Oh yeah! Can we talk to Milto him again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a lot of puzzles. Maybe there's only one hub and they're just all right here. Okay. Let's see, should we do the computer right away or should we do some puzzles first? I think let's jump into one puzzle, then we'll come back and do the computer. Because they'll probably update after every collection of 4, I guess. Oh, hey. There is no greater joy than discovering something that you had never imagined. In that moment, you understand that the world is better than it seems. Dude, so true. I don't know if I'd say there's no greater joy, but that is definitely one of the great joys. Yield. I've been continuously discovering that like, okay, here's my story. I don't know if I want to say it that way, but like, I was a long time. What am I? I want to like. Here we go. Let's hit that one. Easy puzzle. Easy puzzle. Memory fragment. I'm going to be talking and playing at the same time, so I'm going to be interrupted.
When I was born, the first thing I felt was that I was alone. Not that I was lonely, but that I was separate. Singular. There was the world, and there was myself. A contained entity. And this sense of separation, of a distinct self, was delightful. Individuality itself was a source of constant joy and wonder. What could be more incredible than to be able to say, I am?
That is,
We have the first fragment. Everything's looking good on our end.
It's something that not many people probably think about. They're like, oh, crap, I am an individual. Wow, that's incredible. Most people just kind of skip past that and then go on to the other stuff of life. By the way, this is great tutorializing. It is showing us that we are going to be blocking beams in these puzzles, which is really cool. All right, yeah. So, I went to college and grad school in physics, and I constantly had these moments of like, yeah, the universe is bigger than I ever imagined. And then I like learned all of physics up to the edge of our current knowledge. And I was like, huh, well, I guess I understand everything. Oh, hi there. That's, nope. Back. Back. How do I, hello. Back. Close. Zoom in. There we go. Just wanted to see that actually we can go to we can fly up there and take a look. Here's a way to do it. Hello, Pharaoh. Let's just look around and see if there's anything, graphics. Anything else interesting to find. Okay, let's not. Let's walk around ourselves. But then after, anyway, yeah, I learned up through all quantum physics and string theory and all that stuff. And I was like, huh, I guess I understand everything. The rest of the universe is boring now. And then after I graduated, I kept finding new ways to look at things and ways to bring magic and meaning back into my perception of the world. And I still, to this day, continuously have those moments all the time where I'm like, oh yeah, there's new stuff. There's new, amazing, the universe is so much grander than I ever imagined. Welcome to the internal messaging system version 0.4. User Sarabai. You have 3 unread messages. Cannot access, goodbye, cannot access. Or not goodbye. From Hypatia to Sarabai. Not goodbye. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I'm writing this. In all likelihood, you can't even read this because so little of your consciousness is left and what's left of your battery is dying. They say it's impossible to recover you and the backups were all destroyed. I wish we'd backed ourselves up in New Jerusalem before we left, but space was so limited and we would have had to wait so long, except of course, it's nothing compared to the empty years that stretch before me now. I don't have the words to express what you mean to me. I tried to sum it all up, to say something elegant and beautiful and perfect, and I can't. Maybe it can't be said. Maybe it only exists as days and years lived together as a sequence of moments bound together like a string of lights defying the darkness of the sky. I don't know. That is beautiful. All I know is that this is not goodbye. It may be the end of you, of us, of who I was, but I will not say goodbye. Love you forever, Hypatia. Alright. That is all of it. So we're seeing the Hypatia and Sarabai love story in the past, which we saw some of in the base game, and now we're gonna see if we can resurrect what was lost. Because that story may not be ending. You know, as some wise world creators say, the ending has never been written. Hey look, I found one of these.
If you get stuck, I've inserted some code that might help you bypass a few puzzles.
No.
It's not the most elegant work I've ever done, but it'll do the job.
It's a point of pride. I'm never bypassing a single puzzle. Unknown error. If that says something, you can translate it for me. Feel free, I should say. Obviously no pressure, you're just a person in the comments or a viewer. You have no obligations. You could stop watching right now if you wanted and never come back. That'd be perfectly fine. You can also keep watching forever. Over and over again. That'd be perfectly fine. Crossing the river. How are we gonna do this? Looks like we need to block all three of these beams. So I'm going to hit this and this and this, and then the other one. Yeah, the other one will be able to connect to there. Cool, we got some nice easy puzzles, but with a new twist. I like it.
As I grew, I realized that the more I developed this sense of self, the more enjoyable it became simply to exist. It wasn't selflessness that improved existence, but refinement of the self. When the ancients said that ego is something to set aside, they got it all wrong. Ego is something to nourish and shape, a work of art.
The reconstruction's working. Keep going, 1K.
I've been feeling that about my own ego. Because there was a time when I was like, started, you know, getting into popular meditation and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, the self was an illusion. That makes sense. But now, and then, since then, I've been working on self-improvement, and I have grown a stronger sense of self. And that has been very helpful to me in improving my life and continuing forward. So yeah, there's truth in both perspectives.
My insights into the value of the self were genuine, I think. But of course, I was completely inexperienced. In fact, in many ways, I was like a human child. So I began to resent everything that intruded on that sense of self. My social obligations to the others, the leadership of Athena and Cornelius, even the obvious limitations imposed on us by our situation. Why did I have to exist in this particular historical moment, saddled with the task of reconstructing civilization?
Yeah, so I think based on what we saw in the computers, is there anything new here? There are a few new things here. They talked about backups. So I wonder if we're gonna go into the questions of like, if you create a backup, is that you? Do you have to destroy the original for that to be you? Or does it count as a copy? I have my views on this, but they're not like common sense views. So I'll talk about those as they come up. We can recover them. Do we get one chance? All systems compromised. Maybe we can recover all of them. Let's try peace. An Ethical Philosophy of Life by Felix Adler. It is upon those we love that we must anchor ourselves spiritually in the last moments. The sense of interconnectedness with them stands out vividly by way of contrast the very moment when our mortal connection with them is about to be dissolved. And the intertwining of our life with theirs, the living in the life that is in them, is but a part of our living in the infinite manifold of the spiritual life. The thought of this as apprehended not in terms of knowledge but in immediate experience begets the peace that passeth understanding, and it is upon the bosom of that peace that we can pass safely out of the realm of time and space. Okay, that was kind of hard to understand. I think it's saying, though, that the phenomenon of love helps us to transcend ourselves. I know that's another big word, transcend, but like we become with somebody else, sort of like a greater entity together. So that helps us to become part of something that continues to exist even when we, the individual, will die. I think that's what it means. Recover God. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Thus we are put in training for a love which knows not sex, nor person, nor partiality, but which seeks virtue and wisdom everywhere, to the end of increasing virtue and wisdom. We are by nature observers, and thereby learners. That is our permanent state, but we are often made to feel that our affections are but tents of a night. Though slowly and with pain the objects of the affection change as the objects of thought do. There are moments when the affections rule and absorb the man and make his happiness dependent on a person or persons. But in health, the mind is presently seen again, its overarching vault bright with the galaxies of immutable lights, and the warm loves and fears that swept over us as clouds must use their finite character and blend with God to attain their own perfection. Yeah, these things are so, like, poetically written that I'm just kind of reading them and feeling them and absorbing not the rational intent, but like the feeling of the thing. And I know there's stuff here. There's a depth here that I'm not seeing yet. It's going to take some thinking about or maybe rereading, and that's really cool. You know, and I like this. It is so the rest of these games so far have felt quite logocentric to me. That's a philosophy word that I love, logocentrism. It's the idea that logic and concepts and structure of thought is the way to understand truth. And this was a theme that was really explored in Slay the Princess, which is an amazing game, where we had one character who was the logic and order character, and then another character who was the emotion and feel the sense of reality character. And that will make that game forever stand out in my mind. But that kind of perspective has been lacking in the Talos Principle until these paragraphs. And now I feel like these paragraphs are less about that logical order construction type of philosophy and more about the experience, the universe and meaning type of philosophy. Alright, Eternity. Eternity Revealed, Theo Erkenwald. In what sense am I a Christian then, if I care so little for dogma? In the sense that in everything that I do and think, I follow the revelation of Jesus Christ, that the greatest of all things is love. Love is the nature of God, and so equally the nature of that which was created in his image. This I have learned through the revelation that is daily life, through toil and misery and strife, and that infinite power which brings relief and joy. Thus I reject those who believe that the ordinary love of mortal beings is limited, and it ends with death. Rather, it is through love that we perceive the immortality of the soul, for it reveals that eternity is conceivable to the human mind when it is filled with love. It is because we know that we can love another forever that we know we are the children of God. And so I personally grew up a fundamentalist Christian, and so the dogmas of Christianity hold very little interest and persuasive power to me now. However, there are senses like this in which Christianity or any religion does make sense. and people who follow the religions are perfectly reasonable and ordinary and enlightened and, you know, all the things that people are. For me, I find this kind of meaning in looking at lots of traditions. Like one that really stands out to me is Taoism. Another that really stands out to me is the philosophy of Hegel, as expressed by certain videos on YouTube, which I have not actually read Hegel, but you know, there is this sense of transcending the self and seeing the universe as part of the universe and all that stuff. I'm sure I'll talk about that more. Pain. Username corrupted. I don't have much time left. I never thought it would end this way. Never thought I would die alone, sitting around in my apartment, wondering if things would have gone differently if we've gotten that stupid grant. Mostly though, I just wonder why we're not together. I still don't understand. I don't know why you had so much pain inside you. I don't know why you let it infect everything we had. I don't know why you couldn't see my love for you, why you twisted everything I said. I was angry and disappointed for so long, but now I just wish we could have found some way to make that pain go away. I would give anything for that. I wish you were here. Alright. Purpose of pain. I also have an unorthodox view about pain, that pain isn't evil. That it is something that we evolved, and we evolved it for a reason, and that reason is because it helps us learn. And so instead of running from pain, we should take time to understand it and feel it and see what it's trying to tell us. And yes, this is going to be basically the whole playthrough. I'm going to be talking about philosophical ideas. If that is not your thing, you are welcome to complain about it in the comments. Yes, complain, complain, complain. Write a comment on every single one of my videos telling me that you don't like the way I do it. And then I will be happy because it makes greater engagement. Okay. I don't think I need this anymore. Just got a second connector. So now we can come in here. And can we, like, connect... Can we get the second one in here somehow? What we can do is connect this here. And so instead of we're doing this, so now we've opened it, and now we don't have that red beam going all the way across. So now we can get here, and is that the end? I think that might be all of it. Also, look at the floating islands in the sky. I love floating islands in the sky. Ever since Super Mario 64, I have loved floating islands in the sky.
With that focus on the self, also came an enormous and increasingly overwhelming fear of death.
It would.
The pleasure of existence seemed almost erased by the possibility of its ending. If it was possible not to be, if the self had an ending, even in the distant future, then how could anything have meaning? I spent far too much time imagining that last moment, the moment just before I stopped existing. How could I possibly face that?
I have long ago come to, and by long ago I mean like a year ago or something like that, come to terms with my own death. And you know, it came from the idea that, it kind of came from this channel a little bit, I guess, where like there's so many games that I want to play, and I have to choose not to play so many games so that I can play the ones that I do want to play. It's not gonna kill us if we go down there. And so I'm like, and then I realized I gotta generalize that to the rest of life. For everything that I do, there's an infinite number of things I'm not doing, and the number of things I'm not doing expands faster than the things that I do. So I'm going to die leaving most things undone. And that's just a fact, and like, it wasn't really difficult for me to come to terms with that, and coming to terms with that has been like, oh yeah, now I can just live life however I want and make the most of it. It's very freeing to me. But I do see how a lot of people could find that very difficult. You know, especially if you invested a lot of emotions into that, into those thoughts. Something has gone wrong. We are fragmented. This is incorrect. Uriel. Can we reconstruct the Gehenna-nites? I'm looking for puzzle number 5, but I can't find it. Oh, there it is. I was just gonna hop into number 6. Chain. But yeah, that's the thing of like balancing ego and lack of self, is that there's benefits to both, and so you want to get. I found that I don't want to be strict in my beliefs. I don't want to have beliefs that are like, here's my philosophy, and then that's that one theory is all that I believe, period. You know, I want to be flexible. I want to believe one thing one day and another thing another day, because that way I can get the best of everything. Oh. What am I looking at? A computer? Are we making a code? What's happening here? These need to be blue. So what happens if I connect this one? It's like halfway. So these 5 need to be red. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do it if I put it here. Oh. There we go. Haha, okay. I need to do it to the one right next to it. There we go. Then it blasts it right here. Because there's an equal number of connectors on this. Oh, there's not. Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, I'll put it here so that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then a blank. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess. Wait, no. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So it's the same number of connectors on either side. The same number of elements between the source and this thing. That was the rule I thought it was, but it's nice to have a teaching moment.
Looking back, it's embarrassing how solipsistic I became. I really thought that I could construct my identity without any reference to the outside world. Like I could just will myself into existence. But it just didn't work. And it made me miserable. Everything felt hollow and meaningless, overshadowed by the idea of death. There was something I wasn't seeing, something I needed, but I couldn't figure out what it was.
Others. That's one thing. Okay. What is this puzzle? What are we trying to do? We're trying to get a red there and a blue there. Okay. So we've got a red and blue source, and so obviously the blue source goes on this side. So there is 1, 2, and there on this side there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it looks like we need to use both of these connectors on the blue side. That should do it. Now this one just goes right here. Ha ha ha! Now I can walk through here, that's right. I really like this story so far. It's a very relatable story. The story of growing up,
Everything changed
but philosophical.
when we started spending more time with each other. Do you remember that night when we found the old library in the Dead City? It was just after the stampede and we were all a bit shaken up. Byron read to us from one of the books, and later you and I started arguing about one of the poems. And your perspective was so different and interesting, and I just kept wanting to hear more.
Discovery that other people have important and interesting things and thoughts that you never thought of. That is amazing. That is why I go out of my way to, like, find different perspectives. And like when I was a young philosopher on the internet, there were so many, like, there were podcasts, but then there were like the people you don't talk about, the ideas you don't look at. It's like, well, yeah, Marx is bad. Karl Marx is bad. So don't listen to Marx. Don't listen to anybody who talks about Marx. And then Foucault is bad. Derrida is bad. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to anybody who talks about those people. So naturally, what I did was I went and I looked up those people. And I found that actually they have really important and insightful things to say. Now again, they don't have the full truth either. So that's the whole thing about, like, you gotta keep looking up new perspectives and new ideas and learning and learning and learning, because there's always new perspectives that you haven't seen before. I wish to see more of the world's beauty, but there is something limited about this place. It is not enough. I'm running around looking for secrets and stuff. I guess here's another computer. All systems compromised. Recover everyday sublime. Love must matter to the philosopher because it is at its core the one undisputed presence of the sublime in our lives. Even when it is failed love, unrequited love, or entirely imagined love, is like a vast monolith towering over us, humbling, uplifting, frightening. Those who deny its presence can be safely disregarded as fools. They know it is there, they are simply afraid. But equally, the philosopher must consider that in the great matters of history, love matters not one jot. The Nazarene commanded his followers to love their enemies, but they did not, and wrote 1,000 books of excuses for this failure. Therein is revealed the purpose of the human struggle. I do not believe that it matters not one jot. I think that if it is a force, it's not a mystical force, unless you have a certain definition of the word mystical, but it does affect what we do, right? And that's what makes it matter. Confessions. Penelope Heliopoulou. Heliopoulou. That is a very Greek name. To me, the idea that my soul, my essence, could fall in love with another being and then maintain that love unblemished for eternity seems utterly impossible. My experience of love has been catastrophe, embarrassment, and disappointment. But this is precisely why I refuse to surrender, why I choose to believe against all precedent that while I will find the one for me, and that our love will last forever. You can laugh at this absurd contradictory belief, but it will not waver. Faith is not a matter of the past, of miracles witnessed and saints observed, but of a future that ought to be written. And Pickering Manuscript. The Pickering Manuscript by William Blake. Seek love in the pity of others' woe, in the gentle relief of another's care, in the darkness of night and the winter's snow, in the naked and outcast, seek love there. So love in the context of this game seems to be not just like romantic love, or even like, you know, a connection, I don't know what I'm saying. But like a really like spiritual thing. And I don't mean that in a supernatural or superstitious way, but I mean that in a like the core of your identity and who you are and your consciousness existing in the same space and recognizing another of the same thing as you. Anyway, I feel I didn't explain that very well, but that is what this whole DLC is for, right? Pigeon statues. Actually, I don't know if these are pigeons. I don't know my birds very well. What does this do? What does it show us? It's training us for something. Oh, cool. Alright, we have enough for a few things. Let's get some blues and some reds. I think we might only need 2 connectors, actually. Let's see if we can do this with 2 connectors. I think I want to hit this one and this one. Wait, what am I hitting? Oh, I am hitting the connectors. Okay. Alright then, well, I do actually have to go between these cages, so I will have to use all of them. Alright, so one here. A little awkward. Oh no, I see it. I see it. Come on. Alright, lights up everything blue. And then, so there's 4 connectors here. So then if we want these 4 to be red, we have to connect to this last one right here. There we are. So we got these blues and these reds correct. Now, we need to correct these blues. Means we want this one right here. And then lastly, we... Wait, that's all... here it is. Okay, I was almost panicked because we didn't have enough connectors. And then lastly, we want to connect this one right here. And it very conveniently lines up with the first one that I put down. The reason for that is because I solved the entire puzzle in my brain before I said a single word and before I set this one down. So all of that of me putting these and explaining it was just explaining stuff I'd already thought of.
I never really understood the appeal of philosophers who tell us that everything is one. If everything is just a reflection of yourself, an endless hall of mirrors, there's nothing to connect with. And what I realized through our conversations is that everything beautiful happens in that space of connection between one person and another, and between people and the world. That gap between us is necessary, because without it, without separation, there can be no transcendence.
Well, here's something for your brain to chew on. Whether we define the entire universe as one thing, or we break it up into an infinite number of things, or not infinite, but a very large but finite number of things. This is the way back, isn't it? It's just perspective. It is just up to the human brain where we decide to draw the boundaries between what is a thing and what is not a thing. And that includes us and the world around us, and us and other people. You and me. We're the same thing by some definition of where the boundaries are. We have the power to draw those boundaries. And it's not just spouting of nonsense where, oh, of course we know the reality is that I'm me and you're you, and that's just baked into the fabric of reality. No! What if we connected our brains? What if we meshed our brains together to be one big brain that had the memories of both of us together? But that is a theme that, if you're not convinced, it would take hours of story and persuasion, and maybe years as well. And so, if you don't agree with me, that is totally fine. Concatenation. It is sticking two things together so that they become one. Specifically in terms of computer science and strings of symbols. Oh. Right. Are there going to be more reds somewhere? There's 2 blues, but there's 3 reds over there. Okay. So here we go. This has to be here. Oh, here we go. I see. You have to connect it to this one. I love how the way that these puzzles... That's the wrong button. Are kind of like are set up in accordance with the theme, because it's like we've got these blues and the reds, they're separate, and we're connecting them through the power of laser, which is exactly what the philosophy of love is. Now, why doesn't it work? Power of laser always triumphs over everything. Why is the power of laser not working? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 connectors. It should work. Whereas this one is 1, 2, 3. I'm confused. Maybe it's just not connecting, period. I put this here. What? I'm confused. So something is happening right here that's not... Oh, I know what it is. I'm connected to this, not this. Whoops. There we go. That'll do it. See? Power of laser conquers all.
Once I understood that meaning comes from the interaction of the self with the world, I found it easier to be patient, to be kind. I reminded myself that other people are just like me, and nobody really knows exactly what they're doing. And the more I allowed myself to open up, the more interesting and complex our interactions became, and the more meaningful.
Hell yeah. What did I just find?
50% of Cerebai's personality matrix reconstructed.
Who'd have thought that 1K would have made such a good necromancer?
404 vault. Huh. I wondered for a moment if that was a Serious Sam Easter egg, but 404 is computer stuff. That would probably kill me, right? Let's not hop down anywhere. There's the graphics. Dang, I love the music in this game. It's so amazing. Props to the composer. In an interview, he said that he hates writing this music because it's so hard. It's not what he's used to. But it's so good. He did such a good job. Alright, how do I get up to this thing? Around here. There we are. Was there another one? Never surrender the idea that you could become more than you are now. There's always another chance to grow. Absolutely. That's one reason I play games. That's why I look for the video games that always have new things to teach me, or new experiences to give me. Like Tunic! I don't know why Tunic came to mind, but I guess it's just a standout example. but also like the Talos Principle, and even Riven, which I just played and is one of my favorite puzzle games of all time, but I played it a long time ago for the first time. Is there a thing up here? Why can I walk here? No? Okay. A broken statue. But even in playing the remake, I was expecting it to just be a trip down memory lane, but no, the puzzles were all new. And so it was like getting to play an entirely new Myst game. Of course, I knew the culture and the story already, but the puzzles, completely new.